So I'm very excited about our next guest. He is Nate Berkus, someone I have known and loved for a very, very long time. Now, since Nate established his award-winning interior design firm at the age of 24, his approachable design philosophy has transformed countless homes around the world through his home collections, his books, and television shows. Nate's design work has been featured in publications including Architectural Digest, House Beautiful, Vogue, InStyle, O Magazine, People, and Elle Decor, which also included him on their A-list of world's top designers. Nate was regularly a featured guest on the Oprah Winfrey Show, offering design advice to viewers, and he has released numerous lines of products and authored several books. He was also an executive producer of the 2011 film The Help. His book, Things That Matter, was published in 2012 and became a New York Times bestseller. And alongside his husband, Jeremiah Brent, he launched in 2017 the TV show Nate and Jeremiah by Design on the TLC network. Talk about an overachiever. Please welcome my friend, Nate Berkus.
Hey.
Hi, Annie.
Hi.
So good.
So good to see you, too. Hi.
So Nate, I have known you for a long time, and I've always admired your persistence and your work ethic. Now, as I mentioned to the audience, you started your design firm at the ripe old age of 24. But when did you know you could do it? Like, when did you know that this was the right time?
That's such a good question. First of all, thank you for that introduction, Lisa. That was very sweet. Hi, everybody.
Welcome.
Welcome. Hope you're enjoying yourselves. I've been practicing walking like Tyra Banks in back, but it hasn't quite worked out for me. The answer to that question, when I knew it was going to work, was I think probably the first time I realized I didn't have to worry about money. Because starting a business at 24 years old, it started with me printing 10,000 business cards from a place in Chicago called the Ink Spot. It was $170, and I remember thinking to myself, there's no way I'm ever going to go through all of these business cards. Like, this is very optimistic. And I think most people who start a business start off that way. It's a bit of a hope and on a wing and a prayer, if you will. And for me, it was really more the Sunday night creepy terror feeling of being a business owner the first 3-4 years, where I realized that no one I knew could save me. I was in too deep. I had, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
I mean, it's a huge responsibility.
It was
when
huge.
You're taking money from people.
Well, and you're right. I was taking people's money, and I was ordering things, and if a $20,000 cabinet came in incorrect, I didn't have $20,000 to fix that. So there were many Sunday nights where I thought to myself, well, I did it. No one can save me except myself. So, I just kind of kept going.
And so how did you know that you could do it?
I don't think I really ever gave myself a choice about whether or not I could do it. It was because I wanted to do it. And I'm the oldest of a divided family with 6 children. And I always thought that as the oldest, each one of them came to me as they would graduate from high school or graduate from college and say, what should I do? What should I be doing with my life? And they were coming to me because at the time I was the most successful sibling, and so that's the job you get. And I remember saying to them, if you can figure out what to do with your life, and it's as close to what you would do by your own choice on a Sunday afternoon with nobody asking you to turn anything in and nobody telling you you have to do it, if you can get those as close as possible and make money, then you'll be great. And so I always knew that design for me was something that I love to do. It's what I do on the weekends. It's what I Google when I travel. It's what, I have no real, I'm interested in design from almost every angle. And the fact that I, at 24, decided to start a company helping to assemble spaces for other people, I knew no matter how hard the business side of things got, I'd still be that kid in an antiques shop or a flea market getting really excited that I found what I thought was the perfect thing.
So passionate about
Always,
that.
yeah, always. Still.
Yeah. Would you say that you have a philosophy on business?
I have several philosophies on business that sort of rotate in my mind at all times, every time. One, my dad, who passed away at 69 a little over 2 years ago, taught me not to be afraid of money. And that's a really easy thing to say to people, but what it meant to him and what it meant to me and the lesson that he wanted me to glean from that was that when you're afraid of money, you're afraid to spend it, which automatically means you're afraid to make it. And if money is intimidating to you, you're also afraid to ask for it. And I think so many of us with a tremendous skill set, everybody has something to give in any sort of field or any, whether it's a creative field or a non-creative field. Some people are just wildly organized with contracts and math and all the things I hate. But when you're afraid of money and you're afraid to spend money, it means you're also afraid to ask for it, which the trickle down from that is that people don't believe that you deserve it. And so by taking the fear out of asking for money and spending money and earning money, for me, I think, even as in my 20s, it was easier for me to say, these are my rates. If you don't like it, that's fine, even when I desperately needed the job. Or to say, I'm happy to have an open conversation with you about the rates, but I'm not going to be intimidated by the fact that you have to pay me for the service that I'm going to provide for you, and I'm not going to undervalue myself as a result. And that has served me really well.
So you've always demanded your worth.
I've always tried to, yeah. I've made mistakes, like everybody has, but and I've made some horrible ones, but I've always tried to. The other philosophy I think that always is running through my head belongs to Brené Brown. Many of you have heard her TED Talk. It was one of the most popular TED Talks. It's called The Power of Vulnerability. And in that TED Talk, Brené Brown says that vulnerability is the birthplace of everything we really hold dear. First and foremost, it's the birthplace of human connection and creativity and everything that's born from that. And so it doesn't matter who I'm sitting with or who I'm speaking to. It doesn't matter if I'm the big celeb or I'm standing next to Brad Pitt and everybody's like, hey, can you move? We need a picture of Brad Pitt. I react to people always the exact same way and I'm as honest as I can be without scaring clients, because I do think that vulnerability is really important. And I think when you start to get to really know someone better than this sort of canned business made-up presentation that some people still find necessary, when people see that you're fallible and see that you are willing to own up to your mistakes and see that you're vulnerable, it brings us all together and makes it easier to do business.
Yeah, I think people underestimate the importance really of authenticity.
Totally. Over and over and over again. I should behave like this because this person is this and I'm this, or I should interact in this social situation because I'm here and this person's here, and it's like, that's not even interesting to anyone, let alone yourself. So the authenticity in moving through things, I think, is really important. And I've sat in boardrooms with Fortune 500 companies. I have partnerships with massive international companies. And I also, go to the Dairy Queen 5 miles from where I grew up, and I'm the exact same person in every interaction. And I think that that's something that happens. You get more comfortable with that as you get older. But I think that it's something that's really very, very important. The third philosophy that is always as well omnipresent for me is that I think that it's extremely meaningful to be a great listener. And in design, I've had the same philosophy for over 20 years. Your home should tell your story. And the way you do that is through your things. I remember coming to yours in Paul's house in Santa Monica and thinking to myself, this looks like you. This feels like you.
I was so nervous about that, by the way. Oh my God, Nate's coming to my house. What's he going to think?
No, and I was like so excited. And I wasn't a Californian then. I was like, this is so cool. Lisa moved to Santa Monica. This is awesome. But I love when you walk into a space and it truly tells the story of the people who live there. And I think that it's our home should say who we are, who we aspire to be, who we've loved, who we hope to evolve to be, where we've been and where we wish to go. And in order to deliver that as a designer, you have to listen. You have to listen for what people are saying, and you also have to read the nonverbal cues at the exact same time.
Well, in the spirit of that, as a designer and an artist, how hard is that to do sometimes? Because you have a certain vision, right? And your client has a certain vision, and you feel very confident in your vision.
Right.
So at what point are you able to really find that happy medium, or do you continue to kind of push your vision a bit?
If it's a matter of personal taste, the client always wins. If it's a matter of scale or scary, other words that we designers use to intimidate the shit out of everybody, then we win. The best interiors, truly, I have a library of almost 10,000 design books, and I reference them constantly. And the best interiors throughout time, the ones that have been the most copied, the ones that have been the most emulated, the most pinnable in today's lexicon, those interiors were the interiors where at the time they were outrageous. They brought together two ideas, two styles, or 20 styles, colors that no one had seen combined before. They were interiors that were successful because they were rooted deeply in the personal taste of the person that created them. And so, although to my eye, that painting might not look right with that sofa, if the painting is important and the sofa makes the client's heart sing, then that's how it shall be. And there's always a solution in design. There's no one right way to do a space. There's not one right way to lay out a space. We all know that. So sometimes it takes a lot of listening, and sometimes we do throw in scary designer words to try and get our way. But if it's a matter of personal taste, the client wins.
So, Nate, you've worked with some Goliath companies, Oprah and Target. How do you prevent your brand from getting swallowed by theirs?
Well, Oprah is a unique friend and brand and empress in, Oprah's Oprah. And I remember actually going to Oprah, because I did the Oprah Winfrey Show over 160 times. And you and I actually did several things together. Well, Katrina was, I think, the one that obviously I remember the most about being with you. But the Oprah Winfrey Show was on for 25 years, 5 days a week. There was hiatus twice a year, and I did an episode probably every 6 weeks. I never felt like I only felt like I was as good as my last makeover. And I worked with the same team of producers from the beginning till the absolute end for 12 years. Her brand, when I first signed that contract, I wasn't being strategic about it. I went into her office and I said, so how does all this work? Like, if I design bedding or write a book or whatever, do I have to give you some of the money? And Oprah looked at me and she goes, do I look like I need you to give me some of the money? So,
yeah, she's a unique brand.
Yeah, so that worked out. But the great part about being part of Oprah's organization for all of those years was that Oprah's brand was so defined that it really was a showcase for many people, including myself, to launch from in a way. I think I persevered because I always sort of stayed in my lane. I wasn't trying to sell like men's Spanx or like weird whatever. I was always like, do you like this pillow? Can we put it on the show? So that was actually easy. Once I started in product development and licensing with Linens and Things, and then Home Shopping Network, and then Target, and still with Target, and doing different deals with different larger companies, then it became a bit more challenging. And to be honest with you, it's always going to be a challenge. We go to Target in headquarters in Minneapolis, and we have a great team at Target that we work with, and we make bets in the product development aisle. I'll say to the towel buyer, I'm going to pick 8 colors, and you can pick the one color that you think is going to be the best seller, even if it's not in my 8 colors. And if you're right, I will take you to a wonderful dinner. There's a restaurant called Manny's in Minneapolis, which is great. I will take you to Manny's and get you the handbag of your choice as a gift. And if you are wrong, I never want to hear anything out of your mouth ever again. So we have fun. We have a lot of fun with it.
Yeah.
And they've been right and they've been wrong. No one knows what's going to resonate with a client, a customer, a shopper. All of my collections, they're not meant to be dictatorial. They're meant to be used and combined with things that people already own and love. It's really just an opportunity to help people feel current, help them feel like they can capitalize on a trend in a way that's affordable.
I like that, though. You're kind of giving people a bone here. You talked about Oprah's reaction to you. And the one thing I can say about Oprah's universe was that she treated people so well.
So well.
And that is so important for companies to be conscious of. What is important for you in the team that you select? Who works for you?
So I have been, I've owned my company for 22 years. I've been on TV the greater part of 15 years in various ventures. And I can smell bullshit from like here to the end of that room. I hire people who are worker bees, who are authentic people, who are unafraid to disagree with me. I don't want to ever be or consider myself the smartest person at the table. And I certainly don't want to ever consider myself. I have 3 different companies. I have to delegate. I have to really trust the people that work for me. And I need to be challenged because I cannot possibly keep a handle on absolutely every single detail that is going out there in the universe with the name Nate Berkus on it. And as a result of that, I don't want to be the most creative person in the room. I don't want to be the smartest person in the room. I want to be the person that everyone in the room knows that they can share their real thoughts or real ideas with. And I love it.
You hire people who will challenge you.
I do. I hire people who will challenge me. I mean, they have to be like a little reverent for the first like 6 months. Like I'm not like, you know, it's like, you know, I don't mind a good yes sir every once in a while. But not gonna lie, it's not all, we aren't accepting job applications, by the way. I've like painted this picture of like Narnia. But but after people get their feet wet in my company, or in my companies, they're supported. And even from early on, when it was just a group of me and designers in Chicago, in our little Chicago office, you know, I knew that Sasha was terrible with rugs, and Lauren was really awful with wallpaper. And so guess what? Instead of being like, you're going to sit and learn rugs, I was like, you're never doing another rug. Don't worry about it. Take it off your thing. You're phenomenal with floor plans. You're amazing with upholstery and antique furniture and lighting. Focus on that. Lauren, help her with the rug. I'll be outside eating a Dairy Queen. You know, it's not that hard to figure out.
What's next for you, Nate? What should we expect in the Nate Berkus empire?
So I've actually formed a production company that I'm quite proud of with Sherry Salata, the former executive producer of The Oprah Show and president of OWN, and a friend of ours called Nancy Holla, who worked in advertising, and Jeremiah. Because after the first season of our TLC show, Jeremiah and I realized that we would stay married if we worked together in a professional capacity, which was really helpful to know 2 years into a marriage.
Yeah, because that can get kind of ugly
I was
sometimes.
like, I'm going to need a blonde wig and go under the witness protection program. This is bad.
Yeah.
And I'm not used to asking people's permission what color to paint a room.
Right.
And Jeremiah was like, did you tell them to paint it green? And I was like, me? No, I have no idea. It must have been somebody else. But we figured out that we can work together, so we formed this partnership, and we're bringing out and bringing forth television and film projects that we really believe in. I'm continuing to design product for the home. I always will. I adore it. I have a few strategic partnerships that are new, launching in 2018. I've just invested in a company called FrameBridge, which is an online framing company, which is really cool. They took like that mystery of the local framer and made it something that everyone can understand. But most importantly, I'm looking forward to spending time with my family, because at 46 years old, I've been married now, sorry, for 5 years, and I have a 2.5-year-old daughter. And
Poppy.
You should see Poppy. You should see the Herculean efforts I go through to be there when she wakes up from her nap. Like, it's like ridiculous. It's like a sequence from a spy movie.
Oh yeah. Well, another reason to own your own business, though, because there is, there can be more flexibility.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Nate, thank you so much for
Thank
being
you.
here. It's
Thanks.
always
Great
so
to
much
see you.
fun to hang with you and learn about what you're working on. Thank you.
Good to see you.
Nate Berkus, everyone.
Bye.